Welcome to Jermaine Morgan TV. This is Grooves and Motivation that you're watching live. And in today's talk, we're going to be talking about, well, we're going to groove. We're going to groove. Let's get that out of the way. We are going to groove. But we're going to be talking about one cancel gig could change everything. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. All right, so I got this groove that I was kind of playing with. I did this a long time ago on a record called Life. The name of the song is Say It. I think it's Say It With Your Strings. I think that's the name of the song. I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be wrong. And before I jump into this groove, I just want to say good morning to everybody that's jumping in. You already know what to do. Drop in the comments where you're watching from while I get this groove together. And yeah, we're gonna have some fun today, and we're gonna talk about some stuff that I believe that's very relevant for most musicians today. If it's you, if not, hey, just pass it on to somebody that you know it's relevant for. So anyway, let me get this going. I had a bass line that I was playing earlier. Like I said, it's from the song. Can everybody hear me okay? I know we had some technical difficulties last week. Can you hearing this microphone? Virginia, okay, that's a good indication that you're hearing the microphone. Ezra, good morning to you. All right, so Huntsville is in the building. All right, so here's the bass line I had, and again, it's from a song from my Life record called Say It With Your Strings. I'm just gonna freestyle it today. Thank you, sir. Ma'am, whichever one applies. Can't tell by the username. Stockbridge in the building. What up, Floyd? All right, there we go. You can snap your fingers if you want to. I'm just creating a little groove. What up, Michael? Good morning to you. Absolutely. Tyrone, good morning to you, sir. It's starting to come alive. Give y'all some good old feel good this morning. What's up, John? Need to thick that snare up. I think that feel good. What y'all think? Richard, good morning. that Buckeye bird. Tay, what's up, man? Welcome to everybody joining. Good morning to you. Abby, good morning. Velusive, is that right? Velusive, just woke up. That's all right. You're here. West Palm Beach checking in. Good stuff. Henry, he's cool. He's a cool player. All right, so let's groove. Feel a little more bass. I'm gonna turn this up just a bit. There we go. Hopefully that don't feed back too much in the microphone. Try this thing here. Adding a little trash to it. Yeah, just a slight bit of overdrive. Melvin, good morning to you. I like that, BE. One man's trash is another man's treasure. What up, Steven? Tyrone said, man, I agree. This man is a musical genius. Man, well, to God be the glory. Melvin says, I still love how you're able to transfer what you hear in your head to the bass. I'm still having a hard time doing that. Just stay tuned. I got something for you. I know it's a little sloppy, but I kind of like that. It's too early for this, right? I'm having way too much fun at 7:51 in the a.m. So I'm hoping y'all are enjoying this as much as I am. So anyway, greetings to everybody that's watching me this morning. I hope you're good and awake now. Jermaine, it sounds like a full band is playing. That's the whole idea, man. That's the whole idea, the creative sound, and have that fullness of the sound. That's why I highly recommend having some type of looper in your arsenal, because man, you can just have fun for days. Um, so anyway, so to the comment that was made earlier, Melvin, Melvin says, I love how you're able to transfer what you hear in your head to the bass. I'm still having a hard time doing that. Melvin, I understand that a lot of people struggle in that area, man. And this ain't no sales pitch, but I gotta let y'all know about it, because if I don't, how you gonna know about it, right? So I did. I created this thing. I know many of you guys don't follow every single thing that I do, and I'm not that arrogant to assume that you do, but I've created something called the Unlock Your Sound Challenge. And in this challenge, I've been teaching like these 3 day trainings. I'm doing one like every month. I've done two already. And so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna drop in the chat right now, and I'll put it after this video in the replay. I'll put the links where you can access both of these. But Unlock Your Sound Challenge, both one and two, I'm digging into a lot of the stuff that I'm covering in terms of like this past, we did it last week, the challenge last week. And so if you're on my email list, you probably saw some of the details about some of the things that I've covered in the challenge. And like this past week, we dealt with getting good tone. We dealt with 8 chords that you should know. And I did a really deep dive. Each of these lessons, like there's 3 lessons, 3 days, and I'm spending an hour talking about each topic. So it's intense in terms of a lot of information that I cover and I try to pack into these 3 days that I'm doing. So like I said, the most current one, I talked about tone, kind of going through the bass, figuring out everything tone wise, and getting a good tone, knowing how to get the tone that you're after, that type of thing. And then with the chords, I showed all the details about 8 chords that you should know. And it's like I ain't gonna get into a whole bunch of it here, but 8 chords that you should know on bass. And I think these are like the primary chords that kind of make up majority of everything that you hear. And I'm showing them what they look like, what they sound like on the bass, and how to play them on the bass, so you can use them and kind of know where to pull from, that kind of thing. And then the last day we did a really deep dive on the modes. Like I really got into the modes. Not only I'm talking about Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian, that whole deal. I went a deep dive into those modes. And not only that, I also talked about the corresponding chords that go with each mode, and then how they're interchangeable. So anyway, all of that stuff. I mean, that's not what this is about today, but I did want to make mention of that since you said something about it, Melvin. I understand, like I said, that can be a struggle for a lot of people. So I wanted to do something about it, not just give you, not just talk about it, but be about it, right? So in the chat, in the live chat right now, I added those links. I try to shorten those links down so you can see both the Unlock Your Sound Challenge 1, Unlock Your Sound Challenge 2. So you can go back basically and get access to the private Facebook group that has all of these videos and the workbooks. There's workbooks as well, so you can kind of take when you're not watching the videos and just kind of look at it, that kind of thing. So anyway, I encourage you guys to check that out. I forgot what all I covered in the first challenge. Let me see if I can find it really quick. If I can't find it really quick, I'm keeping it moving, right? All right, so here's what I talked about. I found it really quick. All right, so here's what I talked about in the first challenge. I talked about the number system, basically learning the number system. I talked about good timing, good placement, 4 scales that you can use to implement better bass ideas, using chords and melodies, and then understanding triads. That's what I talked about in the first challenge. So to me, it was more like I'm not gonna say a beginner, because that's not really, I wouldn't call that beginner, but it's like intro stage to understanding some of the stuff in terms of unlocking your sound. Some things that a lot of people take for granted that some people don't know. Is just, you don't know what you don't know. So anyway, the link is there if you want to sign up. Go ahead and do what you do, right? So that's all the time I'm gonna spend on that. But here's what I want to talk about today. If any of you guys follow me on Facebook, you saw I posted a post yesterday, and I was saying I talked to a guy, and I'm trying to remember what I actually said in that post, but I was talking to a guy. We was having a conversation on Sunday, and then the conversation basically came up, the fact that most musicians don't have a retirement plan. And so from that, we just kind of went into some other things, and I told him some different things that I had done to kind of create some continuity for myself, some passive income, some continuous money coming in from my music, not necessarily looking outside. Granted, I've done some outside stuff, but finding ways of creating some continuous cash flow for my own music, my business, my pretty much, I'm not gonna say my life, but this is what I do, right? So I had to figure out some ways to do that. That brings me to the title of this particular Grooves of Motivation Live today. One canceled gig could change everything. And this is a near and dear topic because I understand, I have empathy for being a musician. I know how it is. A good friend of mine and I were having a conversation just on last night. I'm even thinking. I ain't the podcast dude, but I'm thinking hard about maybe some podcast stuff. I don't know yet because that's a world I know absolutely nothing about. So if you are an expert, send me an email, Jermaine at JermaineMorgan.net, and say, look, Doc, I can walk you through this. I can tell you what to do, because that is not my lane. But it don't mean it can't be. So anyway, all right. So with this particular thing, one cancel gig can change everything. Like I said, a friend of mine and I were talking yesterday, and we were just talking about the importance of building something as a musician. Unfortunately, most of us as musicians, we don't have a retirement plan. We just go into this thing. We practice. We do all these things, working on our craft, improving, learning, and getting our speed together with hopes that somebody will hire us for a gig. I mean, it's the musician's dream to get the dream gig and all this kind of stuff together. But oftentimes we go into it just blind. We go into being a musician blind. I even know some people older in age that are now picking up this music thing as a career, which is dope, by the way. I'm not saying anything is wrong with that. And if your ambition is to play for a church or help out your local whatever, no problem with that at all. I think it's beautiful. I love it. And like I said, I've spent majority of my life being a musician, so I know the fulfillment that you get from doing it. There's so many pros to it. There's so many positives to being a musician, but there are also the negative side of it. Life is both positive and negative, right? So with that being said, how many times, or maybe you're the one currently in a position where if they let you go from this situation right here, oh, it's a wrap. Pause for dramatic effect. It's a wrap. Now, there's no laughing matter, because all of us at some point either have been or will be in that position. And so what do you do when you're in a position where, like, somebody can be having a bad day? And one of the things I told a friend of mine just yesterday when we were talking, I said, man, it's so funny as a musician. A lot of musicians get the bad rap for showing up late, not learning new music, being high. The list can go on and on for the negative stereotypes of musicians. I said, but what about the guy who let's use church for just for a case study, right? So what about the guy who's always on time, who always knows the music, who has a great personality, who can play? You know what I'm saying? The guy can play, but just say, and I don't want to throw a pastor under the bus, so I'm gonna use several examples here. This is just 4 examples, so don't get in the comments, start talking about your pastor. None of that stuff. That's not what this is about. But the pastor, or the worship pastor, or the worship music leader, or whoever is over the band, he decides, my homie just moved back into town. He's moving down to Atlanta. He's moving to wherever you are, Chicago. Or he's moving to Florida. This is a good friend of mine from back in college. We used to kick it, and this dude is a phenomenal bass player. He's a phenomenal whatever, you fill in the blank to what he does, right? So now you're the one who's been faithful for the last 10, however many years you've been there, always on time, always knowing the music, all these different things, all these different scenarios, right? And because the pastor or whoever doesn't really have a relationship with you, and they're trying to look out for their homie that's coming in, or the worship pastor or whoever is trying to look out for the person that's coming in, it's like they let you go. Not because you done anything wrong, not because you don't know the music, not because you don't show up on time. Somebody somebody said, Alter says, the sound guy, throw him under the bus. Okay, just fill in the blank for whoever it is in your scenario. But you bring in this new person and get rid of the person that's been there serving faithfully because of whatever reason. And in a lot of those situations, and I've been in them as well, where people start, or I've seen them firsthand rather, where people will start kind of nitpicking and looking for reasons to let a particular person go. Maybe they don't like them no more. Maybe this person rocks the boat a little bit. This person has their own thoughts, not necessarily saying that they're being disruptive or whatever, but they're like, they actually have a thought. They actually have an opinion, you know, with respect to leadership. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to have an opinion, do your job, but it's okay to have an opinion. You know what I'm saying? And then when the opportunity presents itself for you to voice that opinion, you can voice that opinion. You know what I'm saying? Not out of turn. I'm having to make sure I'm cover all these grounds because I don't want to give people a license to be disrespectful or rude or, you know, be out of character or that type of thing. So when the opportunity presents itself for you to share your opinion, you actually do that. But here's the problem: when you share that opinion, people see you have a mind, and they see you're not necessarily easily controlled. And because you're not necessarily easily controlled, they're looking for somebody that they can control. When I say jump, you say how high. I'm looking for that guy. And if you're not that guy, then you must not be the guy for this gig, right? So now your gig is hinging on this person's attitude from the next week, you know, from week to week. It's depending on that. It's all depending on how this person feels when they come in tomorrow or Sunday or Wednesday or for the next rehearsal. And you know you're on eggshells because you know when that time comes, you're on eggshells. So I'm trying to paint this picture. I'm trying to give you the scenario because it could be any person on any given day, any given week, any given gig. It could happen. I heard about this famous artist who decided to go a different direction, had a dope band. I mean, the band was phenomenal. And you fill in the blank for the artist, right? But this particular, real true story, this particular artist wanted to go a different direction with this band for no reason. These cats preparing for tour and all this kind of stuff. The artist comes in one day, decides he wants to go a different direction. Everybody's fired. Like, wait, what? Yeah. So that means everything that you had riding on that gig, all of the purchases that you made, and you was depending on this amount of money per year to take care of this particular purchase, now you up the creek. That one gig canceled is basically changed everything for you now. I got my little notes here. But so now you're in a position that I'm sorry, y'all. I'm reading the comments. Steven says, "Jermaine, you're kicking a hornet's nest." This is good. So I wanted to share this because I mean, obviously, I know I'm called to serve musicians, not only musicians, but I do know that that's part of my calling in terms of being able to serve you guys, and I want to add value to you. I don't just want to come on here and just groove, right? It's grooves and motivation. I want to make sure I add value to you. And I want to have you leaving here thinking about some things, right? That's my one of my goals: motivate, encourage, inspire. But ultimately, I want to have you thinking. I want you to think about some things because it does no good to sit here and learn all this stuff and perfect your craft. But outside of that, there's no plan. There's no plan of action that actually moves you forward and that serves your family. Most of us, men or women, you have a family, or at some point, you will have a family, or you will be connected to a family. I'll say it that way as well. So you want to have some type of plan in motion. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but you want to definitely have something and be thinking about something that's going to serve you. All right, so here's the thing, and I got some notes if you guys want to jot some notes down. Steven, you weren't here on last week. You normally put my notes in the chat, so I have some good stuff from last week. So if you missed last week, by the way, you definitely want to go back and check out that live. What the name of it is, I don't know right off the top of my head. I can't remember. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. I'm not going to take too much time with that, but I do want you guys to be able to check out that live, so I'm going to give you the name of it. From last week. What was the name of that live? Here we go. So, Ain't Nobody Like You. Ain't Nobody Like You. I know that's a really great English, but Ain't Nobody Like You. That's the name of the live that I did last week. And if you haven't seen that one, go back and watch it because I think it's really helpful to you guys as well. I gave some notes in that. So, all right. So, if you have a pen, paper, your phone, whatever, jot this down. There's 3 points that I'm going to give you. Number one, ask the question, who can I serve? Now, what is this about in terms of what you're jotting down? Because we want to figure out a way to get around the whole idea of one canceled gig ruining everything in our lives. We don't want to be in that position. We want to figure out ways to get out of that position. And in my lifetime as a musician, as a professional musician, I've been asking myself those questions, and I took steps to, basically doing the very thing that I'm going to talk to you guys about today. So the first thing, ask the question, who can I serve? That's the question. Who can I serve? Now, when we're looking to ask that question, who can I serve? I'm looking at what I have available, what I do that I know can serve people. I will use myself for an example. Now, as it pertains to this instrument, I know that there's information that I have, and there's information that I've acquired, stuff that I've learned along the way that can serve somebody else who's trying to maybe get to the point of where I am on this instrument. So I can serve somebody who might be at a lesser place as a musician than I am. So I can serve them there, like directly. I can serve them in the aspect of helping you to improve on bass. So that's one area of service that I can provide. Or let's take it out of the context of music, just in case some of you guys out there do some other stuff. Okay, if you wash cars, and ideally that ain't what the main thing is, but I'm just using this for an example, because ultimately what we want to do moving forward, you want to do something that outlives you. You want to be able to provide a service or do something that, number one, creates continuity for you. That's like, continued revenue coming in, ideally passive income. But just to get started, to get some cash flow going, you want to have something that you can do that actually creates some cash flow for you. So that's why I used the example of, like, washing cars. That's something I used to do when I was like a kid. Like when I was 15, 16, I think. That was my first business. I started washing cars. I did it on the side of a gas station. People would bring their cars up there. Neither here nor there. But you know what I'm saying? I was providing a service. People need their car cleaned up. They didn't have time to do it. So I was able to provide a service. I was able to serve people by cleaning their car up, making their car look better, adding value to their car, getting the fries and everything, the chips out of the back seat, you know what I'm saying? Getting all the stuff looking good. So in that regard, I was adding value to people. And because I'm adding value, in exchange for the value that you're adding, I'm going to give you some money for that. And if I did a really, really good job, they would give me a tip on top of what they owed me, right? So that's a way, in terms of my own business, I started washing cars, that kind of thing. Later, I started, as I became more advanced as a musician, I started giving lessons. I was giving, like, cause I play multiple instruments. This is like still living in my mom's house, my parents' house. I was, there you go, Steve. Appreciate it, man. So I started giving lessons at the house, right? I was giving keyboard lessons. I was giving bass lessons. I was giving guitar lessons. The only thing at that time I wasn't giving was drum lessons, because at my mom's house, I didn't have, I didn't have a drum set. So I, you know what I'm saying? I was just giving lessons on the things that I had available to me, right? I was managing, and this is another point. This is not one of my points, but it's something that you want to kind of really make note of. I was managing my resources that I had, right? So sometimes you don't have to always go out and buy something. You can use what you have available to you. Some of you guys are trying to figure out ways to make money, and I give several ways. Shameless plug: 10 Ways to Success, The Working Musician. I'll drop that link pretty soon. But you need to get that book, because I give 10 ways of things you can do to earn money as a musician as well, outside of your main gig, right? So anyway, those are some things I was doing. I was teaching lessons and all those types of things. So the idea I was want to do, it was add value to people. Who can I serve? So I guess you want to add an asterisk or whatever you want to put there and say, who can I serve? Who can I add value to? How can I add value to people? In what way can I add value to people? So I gave you an example of teaching lessons and washing cars. You might have something else that you do. I can't just give a whole list of things, because I don't know what all you do well. Music might not be the only way you serve people. I know a musician, a matter of fact, that I saw this weekend, who was also a sound guy. So he's like a sound tech. He runs sound. So when he's not playing his instrument, he's picking up gigs to run sound. So being multifaceted, having more than one way that you can create cash flow, right? Tyrone, man, thank you so much for that. Kirby says, "Hey Jermaine, our story is so similar. I started teaching bass at 15, and I had a few car wash clients when I was 17." And that's what I'm talking about, Kirby. You know what I'm talking about? Multifaceted, like having multiple streams that you can create some revenue for yourself. All right, here's the second thing: make a plan. Make a plan. It's that simple. Make a plan. And if you want to jot this scripture down, it says Proverbs 16 and 9, and I'll give you that in just a second. But here's a sub thing for that. Make a plan. Think long term. You want to be thinking long term when you make a plan. Proverbs 16 and 9 says, "The mind of a man plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps." Write it down. Like, if you have something in your mind that you think that could work, like while I'm talking now, I know for some of you guys, like your wheels are turning. It's like, oh man, I think I could, you know what? I think I could start this kind of business, or I could do this. I can write it down. Write it down and start some plan of action steps that you can do to get this thing going for yourself, to get it off of the ground. Here's the thing. All right, step 1, I'll do this. Step 2, I'll do that. Step 3, I'll do this, right? But here's the thing. It says, the mind of the man plans his way. You have a plan, but ultimately the Lord is going to order your steps. He's going to show you the way that you should go concerning the way that your plan should work out. There's a verse, Proverbs, and this ain't a sermon, but I am sharing with y'all the scripture, right? So Proverbs chapter 3, 5 and 6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he'll direct your paths." And your path, I'm sorry. But it kind of goes back to this thing: the mind of man plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. He's gonna tell you the way you should go. You'll know. You'll kind of sense, like, I really feel that it should go in this direction. When you really seek God, when you pray for a clear direction as to which way to move, which way to navigate, because some of the stuff that you do might be just some temporary stuff, right? It might be something that you don't have to do it for a long period of time. That might be just a 6-month stint. I've been in this season of life where the Lord has been had me for over the last year and a half. He's been had me in these 6-month intervals. Like, for 6 months I'll do this, and then another 6 months he'll have this going on, and then another 6 months he'll have me in this whole different space. So I'm learning to recognize seasons. That's another thing. I'm starting to really recognize seasons. And you can think of it figuratively or literally. You have winter, spring, summer, fall. Winter, times are pretty much kind of hard, right? Spring, stuff is starting to look up. Summer, you're thriving, financially speaking. You're kind of thriving. And then fall, stuff is kind of slowing down, so you need to be kind of paying attention. But learning how to manage each season well helps you to kind of get from season to season. And so understanding that things are seasonal, seeking God for direction in terms of how can I move, how can I navigate through this season, it kind of helps you to kind of, get through all of this stuff in a way that serves both you and your family. I'm trying to read these comments and keep moving at the same time so I don't get way behind at the end. Do y'all both know how to play car wash and taught your students how to play it? Oh, wow. Nah, I hadn't taught my students how to play car wash. I'm sure I could play it. I never just tried to do it, but neither here nor there. All right. So here we go. The third thing. Leave an inheritance. I know I kind of got to that pretty fast, but I don't want to drag this out. This is pretty straight to the point. Leave an inheritance. And the verse that I want to take for that is Proverbs 13 and 22. So you can jot this stuff down. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of a sinner is stored up for the righteous. I ain't gonna get into that part. Just the first part of that. A good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. That means your grandchildren should be able to benefit off of what you do. And unfortunately, most of us as musicians, we don't think about legacy. Most of us, not everybody. So if this is not you, don't take it personal. But for a lot of us, you need to take it personal, because you're not thinking legacy in terms of what you're leaving for somebody else, what you're leaving for the next generation. Even if it's not your family, what are you leaving for the next generation? One of the things I love, and I can't take complete credit for it, but the idea through people God gave me to do these courses and to do these YouTube lessons and all this kind of stuff. Um, this stuff will outlive me. God forbid I check out of here tomorrow. Y'all will still be able to come on here and learn a lick, or learn how to play the bass, like all these courses that are available on my website. Learning how to navigate through this stuff, and this stuff will outlive me, and it'll be able to positively affect the next generation. And if you're on my course purchasing stuff and I'm not here no more, then my kids are benefiting from this. And if my kids are really smart, they'll learn how to repackage this stuff, and so my grandkids will benefit from the stuff that I'm doing. So leaving a legacy, leaving something on, not just monetary, but impacting your kids or your generations to come in a way. Like, even I listened to Jim Rohn, and one of the things he mentions a lot about is having a journal. Having a journal. How cool would it be for, and I know dudes, we be like, man, you trying to journal nothing down, but having some point of reference where your kids can go back and look at the model that you had laid out and kind of see the steps that you took to be able to create that model, or be able to look at something that you done and model that. You know what I'm saying? Have some type of, and a journal is better, truth be told, because you're able to write down your thoughts, your thought process, maybe the things that led up to you thinking about that thing. And for me, my book, 10 Ways to Success, is a great way for my kids to kind of look at my story and see some of the ideas and my thought process behind some of the ideas that I did to start creating generational wealth for them. And not only that, to figure out how to serve others generationally, not my service stopping with me leaving here. You know what I'm saying? So this service goes on and on. So being able to document your journey, being able to allow your kids to see, because it's not dope for us to sit here and tell them, oh, you can do anything, you can be anything, you can have anything, but they see us doing nothing and having nothing. We're just talking about stuff, and all they know is real life struggle. That's all they know. Nothing wrong with knowing a little struggle, but the kids shouldn't have to start from ground zero. They shouldn't. I'm just being honest. They shouldn't have to start from ground zero. And I know culturally, it depends on what culture you're from. That's a normal for a certain culture, right? And I'm not just going to limit it to black or white, because it could, it could vary depending on who you are. Culturally, a lot of us started, I'm not going to say from nothing, because our parents did the best that they could with what they knew. So I don't kick my parents or any of that kind of stuff, or my grandparents, because you do according to what you know. So that's why I'm here today, making sure that you know a little bit more, just in case you're a person who doesn't know. You might be a person that's sweet. You know what I'm saying? You know all of this stuff, and this is like, cool. Pass it on to somebody else who don't know, because, again, my saying, you don't know what you don't know. So my parents, again, did the best that they could with trying to set me up the best way that they knew how, given what they had to work with. But now that I know more, I'm charged to try to set my kids up in a better way, to set them up at a slightly higher standard, not so they can look down on somebody, but so that they don't have to start from ground zero, right? The Bible speaks of the poor you will have with you always. That don't mean you always have to be poor. It means there's going to always be somebody out here that's poor, but I'd much rather be in a position that I'm able to help somebody, and not always being the one with my hand out. You take my gig away from me, I don't know what I'm going to do. No. I'm going to create several revenues, several streams of income, so that if this thing stop coming, if this gig stop working this week, it's all right, it's cool. I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to have a meltdown. One of the things that Jesus constantly talked about in the New Testament: do not worry, do not worry, do not worry, do not worry. And if you're feeling yourself having anxiety about something all the time, that means that must be a lack of planning from you, or that's a lack of trust of God. You don't really trust that he can do whatever he says he's going to do, especially for you believers that's watching. And if you're not a believer, you can still trust him, right? And we gonna get into all of that right now. But if you want to know more, ask me how, right? I'll just say that. But there's just so many different ways that I feel like musicians overlooked in terms of creating income and revenue. I'm looking at this gig to gig mentality. And let me say this because I don't want anybody to be insulted when I'm talking gig to gig mentality. But and let me get that out of my mouth first. I got so much respect for the cats who do this consistently. This is, I mean, you gig, you prepare, you do your homework, and it's your profession. I got nothing but respect for you. You know, I'm making sure I make that clear because this is what I'm saying is not a disrespect to people that's all they do is gig. But as we seen with this 2020, when everything shut down, man, cats was losing their minds. So that should show you that you have to be thinking long term. You don't go through life worrying about, well, what if stuff shut down? But you should plan just in case it shuts down. I got some other stuff happening. And for me, who had some other stuff happening during the pandemic when everything just like come to a screeching halt, everybody was scared. Folks that were spending money on certain things that I've created, like a lot of them was like, all right, man, we're going to go ahead and hit pause right quick. Or folks was like scared to spend money because they didn't know what was going to happen. Everything was shutting down. So I had to figure out other ways to generate. Thankfully, God kind of gave me some wisdom and put people around me who were able to help. I'm just being honest. Put people around me who are able to help in one way or another. So you have to be thinking and creating community. So not only coming up with ways that you can create revenue, but here's the other thing, and this is not even one of my points. Being a giver. Being a giver. Not necessarily always just putting something in a collection bucket at church. There are people that you know who need help, that you can actually help them. Now, there might be people you can't help. You're not in a position to help them, but giving don't always have to be monetary. You can give of your time, of your service. You could do something to give because it's a principle. You know, what you give, you receive. You sow, you reap what you sow. You know, if it's your time, you know what I'm saying, and you're sowing your time into somebody who needs what you have to offer, who needs your value that you can add, but they don't necessarily have the resources to pay you right away. You can serve them your time as a seed, knowing that in your moment when you need somebody to serve you their time, it's going to come back to you. So planting seeds that produce a harvest when you need that harvest to come up, that's another way to prepare. So there are plenty of people pre-pandemic that I had, you know, just been given to, and things that I had just been, you know, just making sure that I'm a vessel that can, you know, pour out, so to speak. So when I got into a season where I needed, there were people in place who were like, all right, I got you. That's simple. Whatever the need was, it was like there were people in place. All right, cool, I got you. And you look at it, it's like, well, you know what? Thank you, God, because when I had it or when I was able to do it, I gave to this person, and now your word is true in terms of you reap what you sow. That's not always a negative sense. And a lot of times we look at that in the negative aspect, like, you know, you reap what you sow. No, it's some stuff that you sowed that was good, and it's coming back around. So that's why we shouldn't worry, because if we are actually applying these principles right, you know what I'm saying? You're going to reap what you sow. If you've been putting good seeds in the ground, at some point, that tree got to come up. It has to come up. It has to produce fruit for you. So put good seeds down. And I got to leave this with you guys, because I can't sit here and say all of this stuff and then act like it's just going to be magic. Soon as you do stuff, it's going to turn around. No, it's hard. I'm going to tell you straight up, it's hard. Being an entrepreneur is difficult. It's very difficult. It messes with your mind. And I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm just saying this to prepare you. If you're not ready for certain things that happen with being an entrepreneur, running your own business, starting your own ideas, feeling rejection from people when you do all this different stuff, and if you deal with that stuff, you better start working on that now, because you're going to feel it. I mean, all of it, all of the above, A through D, right? You're going to feel this stuff, so it can feel difficult. And maybe the word shouldn't be difficult, because I'm working on my words that I use. I'm sorry for using the word difficult. Different, right? It's going to be different. difficult still like is pretty valid. It's gonna be different. So you have to not only in all of these things, you have to not only create things, but you need to be developing yourself mentally developing yourself, like developing your mindset, kind of working on some things that you need to do as far as a thinker, thinking outside of the box. With some of my coaching calls that I do, I'm not doing as many of those as I used to do, simply because I don't really have a lot of time to do it. But there are calls that I do take from people as far as it pertains to one-on-one coaching. But one of the main things that I deal with people concerning their mindset, how they think, how you look at things, how you perceive a certain thing, is everything. So your mindset could be the very thing. And it's even in my base coaching, I've learned through most of the people that I've coached, it's not so much their mechanics. Some of them it is their mechanics, right? But a lot of the people that I coach, it's the mental. It's the mental part of them that they can't get over, which causes them not to be able to play and be free the way that they want to be free. It's not so much the mechanical. The mechanical part will come over time, but if you can't deal with the mental part of it and the rejection and the low self-esteem and the always comparing the thing that we talked about last week, the imposter syndrome, all of that different stuff, it affects everything that you do. And if you can't deal with the mindset part of it, then it could be a hard battle for you. But there's a saying that I heard by Les Brown. He says, if you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. Now that don't mean you need to work in the field and just throw your back out for doing that 7 days a week for 60 years. That's doing what's hard, and your life is not easy. No, meaning do what is hard. Most people don't want to learn something new. Most people don't want to do the hard thing of seeing what they were put on this earth to do, purpose, seeing what individual gift, what unique thumbprint do I have that I can impact the world with, that I can add value to others, all these different things. Most people don't want to put in the work and figure out what those things are, because the learning curve of it all, the rejection that I could possibly go through of it all, I don't want to deal with all of that stuff because it's hard. Matter of fact, I'm more comfortable with staying with this gig to gig situation and just waiting on somebody to call me rather than creating a situation for myself. Because if I create a product, I don't know if anybody's going to buy it. Here's the way that I created momentum over the years with my products that I've created on my site. I have no clue when I'm creating any of this stuff, riffs and licks course, all soul bass jam packs, and congregational songs course, shout bump bass course. Every time, I'm just being completely 100% honest with you guys. Every time I create a course, there's always this thought in the back of my head from my peers that I feel like my peers are going to try to, we musicians. So you already know somebody's trying to joan on you or just talk about you or put you down for something that you did. Man, that's lame. This dude making a shout course. Who gonna buy a shout course? Well, I'll tell you this. Thousands of dollars later, apparently a lot of people want to learn shout music on bass. But when I done it, man, I was scared. I put it out. I create momentum by feeling the fear and doing it anyway. I create momentum doing it. I don't know what's going to happen when I create these things, but by faith, I know and I feel in my heart that somebody could benefit from this thing that I'm creating, and I'm trying to serve somebody else because I know I make stuff personally on my site. I create stuff from the standpoint of being embarrassed because I didn't know this information, feeling ashamed because everybody else seems like they hip to this stuff and I'm not. And so feeling all these feelings all these years, I know I can't be the only one who's been through this. So with that being said, let me do something that helps somebody else to not feel this or not feel as bad when they go through a situation that's similar. Because y'all might look at it and, man, you're a musical genius, and y'all, man, listen, it has been a struggle to develop all of this stuff. And it's still a work in progress. But the journey, I've learned over the years how to fully enjoy the journey, how to, be a part of the journey and enjoy it. Like I'm learning that. And Anyway, I could go on and on about that, but I won't. So I'm just saying, I feel the fear, and I do it anyway. I feel the fear. Yeah, it's a clear and present fear. Like this could very well not work. I could start this business. We could, start paying for this particular service to do a certain thing, and I'll end up out of money, like thousands of dollars out of money. There's things that I've invested in, thousands of dollars. The result I thought I was going to get from it, I didn't get it. So what? Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Did you? And here's the thing I had to learn from that. What's your takeaway from it? Did you gain anything from doing this, or what is it? Was it all a loss? I heard something. Myron Golden. I listen to him a lot. He said something the other day that, man, it was super profound. He says, if it's not working for you, then it's working on you. So I'm gonna tell you this: for some of you, your first idea, your first business idea might not work. Might not work in the sense of creating a lot of revenue for you. But I can guarantee you that if you do it, it's going to teach you something. It's going to give you another level of perseverance, another level of resilience that you might not currently possess right now. But if you go through the action steps of actually trying to do this thing, it's going to create something in you that's going to serve you later down the road. There are things I'm doing right now that I know if I didn't pull the trigger years ago, and I give you a clear example. And if y'all gotta go, I understand. But I give you a clear example of something that I did. When I first started, I was terrified to put out a solo project. I did like it was like a mixtape, so to speak, of my first project when I first like did Journey. It was a mixtape of songs. Some of y'all might have that, depending on how far you go back with me and how long you've been knowing me. You might have that little mixtape. But I did a mixtape, not grooves and ideas. This was like pre all of that. This was before the journey continues. I did a mixtape of just some ideas, and I was terrified in terms of how people were going to receive the music that I did. So I went to my hometown, well, my home state rather. I went to Tupelo, Mississippi. That's not my hometown, but I went to Tupelo, Mississippi, and did my first solo concert. It was probably a strong 15 people at that concert. One of them was my grandma, another was my wife, another was my mama, and my stepdad. You get the picture, right? It's like family, a couple of family members and a few close friends that supported. And I gotta make mention of this, man. This almost hits me because I think about it. My friend who passed away last year, Byron Salters, he came, he supported. That dude was always supporting everything that I did. He came and bought 5 CDs that night. 5 CDs. That meant a lot to me, man, because I think I was selling for like $10 a piece. And he made up the bulk of the sales for that night. But it's little things like that, little people that show you, look, I'm here. I'm gonna support regardless of what happens. I'm gonna support what you do. And so, but if I had walked away from that thing, and I ain't gonna sit here and say I wasn't discouraged. Part of me was discouraged because that many people didn't show up for it. But if I had to stop there, this whole thing that we know now as me and what I do and what I present would not be happening had I stopped at that concert. Taking those steps, the concert felt like it didn't work, but it was working on me. It was working on me even when I put out my first record. I was nervous. I thought it was going to be rejected, but it was working on me. That thing allowed me to launch so many different things. My website was already launched, but just like with Say It With Your Strings, that competition that happened like 10, 11 years ago, connecting bass players around the world, giving some bass players a platform that they didn't have before, allowing some people to be noticed, like people like, and I mentioned this in my book, people like Leslie Johnson, Taylor Lee. Not saying that I'm responsible for their success at all, but I know my platform that I had created put them guys in front of some other people that were paying attention, that helped to, do some other things for them in their career. And this is helping other bass players. But it all came from me not being afraid, or let me rephrase that, feeling the fear and doing it anyway to create some momentum that got my solo career going, right? And as a result of all of those things, put in the effort, put in the time, this TC electronic rig that you see behind me, if you go to I don't know if it's still on there, I haven't checked it in a while, but at the time when I got my endorsement deal with TC Electronic, It wasn't associated with an artist. I was the artist. So if you look on TC Electronic site, if I'm still there, you'll see the Jermaine Morgan band, because I was able to get that situation based on what I had created, what God allowed me to create for myself. So I'm saying all this to encourage you guys, and it also gets you thinking. You don't know what's possible. You don't know what's out there. And if you keep holding back, being afraid to try certain things, afraid to try your ideas, you don't know what you're missing out on. These videos that I do with Sweetwater, these sponsorship videos, Sweetwater sends me this stuff off of what I've built, what I've been able to build by the grace of God, what I've been able to build in terms of my own brand, not who I'm associated with, not who I play for, not the big church, not the artist, none of that stuff, but what I've been able to personally build. So now I'm not waiting on a gig. There was a time I only had two basses. Period. I think those was my two Warrior basses that I had. And I bought this 4-string Squire jazz bass. I was still doing all my videos on those two basses. Now I got tons of basses all around the studio, right? And I'm gonna be giving some away soon. I just gotta figure out how I'm gonna do that. I'm definitely gonna be giving some. I already know the bass I'm gonna give away. But that's neither here. I'm getting sidetracked. Anyway, I'm just saying it's been a blessing, because I kept going. I kept pursuing, and God kept blessing. When I wanted to quit, there have been several times I'm like, you know what? Cease and desist. I'm shutting everything down. Like I'm canceling YouTube. I'm canceling I'm not putting up another lesson. But perseverance. Keep going. If nothing else, keep going. Go back, review these notes. My guy Steven was kind enough to put in the chat all of the notes, everything that I said. So if you missed something that I said, simply scroll back through the notes that we put here earlier, and you can find, you can put these notes down in your chat or whatever. So not in your chat, in your phone, so you can go back and review these notes. These are things you need to do. Look, I wouldn't be saying this stuff if I ain't care. I don't know you personally. Some of you I don't know personally. Some of you I do know personally. Shout out to Steve. Since Steve is being such a great help right now, I got to shout out my guy Steve. I came up to North Carolina last year, and my guy treated me, took me out. We went and hung out at Guitar Center, and took me out to this spot. I don't know the name of the spot. Got me some good food. Took care of your boy. Looked out, right? So shout out to Steven. I got to give him his public shout out. Publicly, thank you, man. I really appreciate the kindness that you shown, and I pray that that's returned to you 100-fold for the kindness that you have shown to me over the years, man. I genuinely appreciate you, man. So again, y'all, I just wanted to just encourage you all and give you some nuggets, because I know what it feels like to be in that position. I haven't personally been in a situation where I got fired from a gig or something like that, but I know the feeling of you think it's coming down the pipe. You know what I'm saying? They looking. They looking for something. They looking for you to mess up some kind of way, right? So I know that feeling, and I would hope to save some of you from experiencing that. And if you do experience it, because your life is your life, if you do experience it, not being hopeless when that situation happens, you have something else going on, or that you can actually do something outside of that particular gig. That person canceling you is not the end of your career. Because some people feel like, in the music world, people feel like they control you. They feel like if I don't call him for a gig, he ain't gonna never get on. Get on what? You didn't create this. You didn't create music. You didn't create the world. There are like nearly 8, probably less now since all this stuff has been happening. So let's say 6+ billion people on this planet. And how many of those people can be served by what you do? So you mean to tell me one gig, 6 point something billion people on this earth, probably more, one gig gonna stop you from having success? Nah, doc. Nah. Listen, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna drop this in the chat, because I want you to grab this. If you haven't already got my book, 10 Ways to Success, and I'll let some of the other people who've actually read the book tell you about the book. I ain't gonna go on the whole rant about the book. If you hadn't got my book, 10 Ways to Success, The Working Musician, I just put the link in the chat where you can click that link and go grab your book right now. Like, go grab the book right now, because a lot of the stuff that I've been talking about, I go in detail on my own story in terms of some things that I've done. And I'm not saying that you have to follow my model, but what I hope to do, and when I wrote this book, what I hope to do was to trigger thought. So you'll look at your own self, you look at your own scenario, and ask yourself, I said this in a live a while back, how much money am I leaving on the table? I'm sitting here giving all my time up to this gig. I'm going to say this just to get y'all thinking. I'm going to say this, musicians. All right, I don't know what the going rates for your gigs around you, but I want to get you thinking. I want you to think, because I had to start doing this. This is a lot of what triggered me to start taking the steps that eventually led to the book, right? So you do a gig, right? Let's say this gig is on Saturday. I'm on lowball, y'all. So this gig is on Saturday. It pays $175. For some of y'all, that's some good money. For some of y'all, it's like, all right, so here's the gig. It pays $175. The gig is 45 minutes to an hour away from your house. They want to have, yeah, I got to make this good. They want to have 2 rehearsals. You go do the first rehearsal, which is not paid, by the way. You do the first rehearsal, and they're rehearsing. It's not as far as the gig, but it's 30 minutes from your house. Current gas prices, all in full effect, right? So you go do the rehearsal. Y'all don't get through all the stuff in rehearsal, not because you weren't prepared, but because somebody else didn't know it. Or maybe the artist or the person who put the band together added something else to the set list, and they just want to make sure everything is sweet before the show. All right, so these real life scenarios, right? And I've done them. Hence why I'm talking to y'all about what I'm talking to y'all about now. So you go do the rehearsal, and I'm gonna give you grave detail because I want you to think. I want you to start thinking. You go do this rehearsal. You drive to this rehearsal. If you like me, you got a V8. Let's say you ain't got no V8. I know it's bad English. So you got a little V6 or a 4-cylinder. Let's say you spend $30 in gas. Me, we dropping a bill. I'm just saying. You spend $30 in gas. All right, so you spend $30 in gas to do this rehearsal. Because it's an evening rehearsal, you didn't get to eat at the house, so you got to grab you some food on the way back home. That's $10-15. $45 right there, right? Gig only paid $175 to start with, so they want to do another rehearsal. You've been doing some running around this week, right? So this, just say the rehearsal is Friday. So what's done happened to your gas tank? You got to put some more gas in, right? Same thing, same scenario. $30 worth of gas, $15 to eat. It's $45 more dollars. How much are we in the hole now? What's that, $90? In the hole that you done already spent out for this gig that's only paying $175. So for Saturday, we know how it goes as real musicians. The sound check or the load in time is at 12 o'clock. The gig is until 7 that night. So you gotta, but you got, let me bag it up. All right. Let me make it a little more fair. All right, so 2 o'clock load in. So you get there at 3. I'm like, I'm gonna get some of my time, right? You gotta be off the stage by 5. You know how it goes with the gigs. So you do your load in. But what happens though? Because it's a certain time in the day, you gotta buy a meal. You gotta get lunch. You hungry. You probably didn't have time to eat when you left home. You was in a rush. You was doing something. So you stop on the way there to the gig. You get you a little meal, right? So that's another $10-15. You get you a meal, and then so what, we're in the hole $100 already. So you do the sound check. Maybe they feed you at the gig. Somebody's feeling they're feeling a little generous. They feed you a meal that you don't like, probably some salad with some dressing that you don't even eat. So, right, you got to buy you something after the gig. You do this gig. So all of your time that could have been used that Saturday is now ate up. How many hours? This gig, it starts at 7. You got 2 sets. Or let's just do one set. Let's make it simple. Do one set from 7 to 9. So you do this gig from 7 to 9. Break down. You leave there about 10. You got an hour, 45 minutes to an hour commute home. You're hungry. After the gig, you got to buy some more food. So, you kind of splurge a little bit. The guys want to go out and eat somewhere. So you spend $20. So you in the hole, all in all, $120. Uh-oh, you gotta get some more gas. That hand is on E. You remember you drove an hour over there to the spot. You put in gas yesterday, but you had to do some running around. I'm trying to get real life scenarios, right? So you put in your gas, and so now you put $30 in gas. That's $150. You go home. Now they gave you the full $175. But the thing that I've noticed that most of us as musicians, we don't consider all the money we spent out that week. So that gig paid $175, you spent $150. And I know it was like a somewhat of an extra scenario, but that's been real life in a lot of cases. Real life for a lot of musicians, myself included, especially when I first got down here and I was trying to work, trying to hustle. You done spent $150 and you made $175. And that's just talking about what the gig paid. You did not get compensated for your time. Your time was not part of that gig. Your time is not even considered. So you gave away several hours of your life. If you have a family, you have a wife, you have children, you've been away from your family 3 days. Like at least give or take 6 hours per day that you've been away from your family. So that's that 3 times 6, that's 18 hours. Is that right? Is that right math? Probably not. So right? So you've been away from your family let's say a whole day that you've taken away from your family. Not only that, if you have a business, whatever money you could have made on that business, you now lost that money. You lost that money. Whatever you was going to make at home, say you had a session that somebody wanted you to do. Oh man, I can't do the session. I don't got time. I got this gig I got to do. Well, the session that you was going to do was going to pay $150 to $200, but you couldn't do the session because you was gone. You was gone doing this gig. So you done lost you're $150 in the hole. The gig only paid $175, so you only profited $25 for the gig, and then you lost an extra $150 potentially from something else you could have done, not to mention your time. I hope I'm painting a really, really good picture for you because I want you to think about the time you're giving away. So that means a couple of things need to happen. Number one, you got to stop selling all your time. You got to stop selling all your time. Now, it's nothing wrong with doing gigs. I think it's important. Even me, I done started gigging more because I feel like I need to stay sharp. But that don't mean you got to be gone all the time. That don't mean I'm finna do 15 rehearsals. I'm not. Because here's the thing with me being a professional. Yes, rehearsals are necessary, but you're paying me to be a professional. So that means you send me this music, I'm going to be a professional and do my homework prior to coming to this situation. So when I show up, I know my part. We ain't got to do this 15 times. We don't have to do 3-4 rehearsals. I know my part. So now, if we're going to do all these rehearsals, this price that we negotiated, we didn't even negotiate. You just told me what it paid. If you're trying to do all these rehearsals, this is the second thing. We need to renegotiate this price. I'm just being honest because I understand now I add value to this situation because I'm going to show up. I'm going to know my stuff. I'm going to be on it. The show not going to go down in flames because of me, because I'm going to prepare for it the way that I'm supposed to prepare for it, right? Given the allotted, time is there so that I can properly prepare. Now, if you're not doing your homework and not doing what you're supposed to do on your own end, that's your fault, right? We have to be responsible. We have to take responsibility for ourselves. But if you know you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, then you have to negotiate. You have to talk. You have to speak up. There's a my mama got an old saying, a closed mouth don't get fed. You don't say nothing, you don't get nothing. They're going to give you what they've been giving you and what they've been okay with giving you, because it's not other people's responsibility to honor your value. That's your responsibility. You know what you're valued at, and it's your responsibility to make sure that you communicate your value to other people by way of what you do and the value that you add, and verbally saying, hey, this is what I would like to get paid. Now, if they can't meet that standard of what you want to get paid, then maybe some negotiating need to happen based on their budget. But don't always assume, and I'm saying this preaching to the choir, don't always assume that people are broke or people can't afford it. Some people just don't want to give it to you because you're not going to speak up. You're not going to say anything. So you keep losing and other people keep winning. You have to speak up. You have to rock the boat a little bit and be prepared to feel pushback, but that's okay. Now you're starting to understand your own value the more you do it, and you get okay with being worth something. As a musician, you are not worth less. This skill that you've put time in, you're investing into this skill, it should serve the people that you're serving, but it should also serve you. It's not a waste of time. So I don't went on way too long. I know I'm low key on a rant right now, but I'm a musician. I felt this, and I've been through this, and I've been devalued. I've been in situations where people didn't respect what you brought to the table, and you leave feeling like, for lack of better words, you leave feeling like a prostitute after the gig is done because everybody else has won, but you didn't. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. There are people who value what you do and who are willing to give you what you ask for what you do. It might not be the whole world, but there are a group of people just for you who are willing to give you what you ask for. Now, you might be in a situation where you can give a little bit more, and you should give a little bit more than what they're paying for. You should, matter of fact, make a practice of always giving more than what somebody's paying for. Like right now, the stuff that we've talked about, people pay to have these calls. We talk. If I go and do a seminar, a workshop, or something like that, they're paying for the same information that I'm giving for free. But I understand the value of the information, right? I understand, and it's I don't consider it robbery to share this information with you. You ain't robbing me for me to share this information with you because I understand seed time and harvest. I'm planting a seed for somebody else out there. It might not serve me at this current moment, but eventually it's going to serve me because I know the intentions of my heart is right to give you this information to help you, right? And so it's coming back. So anyway, I don't went on and on, but I think it's some good nuggets. I know it's some good nuggets in this today, so I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me. Reading through a few of these comments. Steve says, yes, TC Electronic is my pick now. Absolutely, man. 6 strings, I receive it. If it's not working for you, then it's working on you. Great stuff. I wish it was original to me, but it's not. I wish I had that when I started out. Yeah, man. Here, let me go back. He said, yes, sir, amazing teacher, Myron Golden, Kingdom Mindset. Yeah, man, I love Myron Golden's teaching. If y'all are not following Myron Golden, be sure to subscribe to that YouTube channel. I mean, genius entrepreneur. I mean, it's some genius stuff there. So just follow that YouTube channel if you're not following it. Here's a free idea that I can't do, but you might be able to do. A book of field ideas for people who have played maybe 3 to 5 years to sound more impressive than they are. I've played 25 years, by the way. Awesome, man. Hey, Alter, to your point, I have done something similar. It's called Riffs and Licks Library. Currently there are 2 volumes of that, volume 1 and volume 2, and there's a volume 3 coming really, really soon. So yeah, I have done that. It's not necessarily in a book, but it is a video course that you can get, and there is tab and sheet music to that as well. So Stephen, again, guys, he dropped the notes that I shared today in this live chat. So even if you're watching in the replay, simply open the live chat and you can see the notes if you need to just copy and put it on your phone real quick. Let me see what else I missed. Let's see here. Okay. Several people saying that they switched to TC Electronics. Good stuff. That's right. Every good and perfect thing, including gifts, comes from God the Father. Absolutely. In whom which there is no shadow of turning. Listen. Know Your Sound. Steven says, yes, amazing book with ideas for building wealth and passive income. That's 10 ways to success. I'll drop the link there so you guys can go and grab that book. I'm back. Velusive says, I'm back. Tyrone Williams, that's what I love about the book. You use your own experiences. Man, thank you for that. I appreciate it. You've just lost all your money that you supposedly made from the gig. Right. You was commenting in regards to basically what I was talking about, the scenario. Andre says, good morning, my brother. It's a day for base knowledge, man. Andre, thank you for being here. Andrew, good morning, Jermaine. You're such a blessing to the base community. Appreciate you, sir, always. I'm thankful that you're here listening. Thank you guys for listening. Um, Wagner, good morning to you, sir. Stacy Fields, good morning. How are you? Listen, again, I thank you all for hanging out with me today. I hope and pray, and I feel like you got some really, really good stuff today. I think you got some stuff that's going to really, really move you forward. As a matter of fact, I'm confident that you got some stuff that's going to move you forward. I just wanted to get on here and not get on your nerves, but make you really think. Make you really think. Your folks are counting on you, man. Your generation is counting on you. There are people that I've been able to employ, not necessarily. Let me lighten that word up a little bit. That's people I've been able to give jobs or to give gigs, so to speak, because I moved on an idea that I had. I make that point to say, how many people are not working because you won't go after your idea? How many people are losing money because you won't pursue your idea? How many potential people are not using their gift because you won't use yours? There are people who are in line to serve you with what they do, but they can't serve you because you have nothing that they can offer to you that they know about. But once you make it available, you got people that's like, all right, man, I got you. I got you. I can, well, you do. It's like, let's use the car washing business. I'm going to wrap this up. You wash cars. Oh, man, I can really wax, man. Like, that's my thing. Like, I got a buffer and everything. There you go. So you got this man over here that every time you need to do a wax job, you can put him on the wax job while you keep moving. You keep washing cars, just for the sake of an example, right? So there's people who are assigned to you to help you to do what it is you're supposed to do. Yeah, man. We're all inspired by your bass preaching and teaching. That is funny to me. Your bass preaching and teaching. Well, listen, I'm glad this bass preaching and teaching has helped y'all today. This is pretty much it for me today. If you want to learn more about some of the stuff that I'm sharing, if you need the one-on-one coaching call to talk about some ideas, you can do a one-time call with me. Let me see if I can find that link. So you can set up a one-time call with me. I can work you in for a one-time call. If you're interested in that, let's see here. I'm gonna grab this link really quick and I'm gonna share it here. I'm saying really quick and I'm moving really slow. All right, there it is. So I'm gonna grab that link and I'm gonna send it to you. So, and this is not limited to bass. Where is this? Where I'm trying to click back on the right screen. This is not. I feel like an old guy right now. Hey y'all, my birthday is in a few weeks. Side note. Before I share that, I will be playing live in Atlanta some of my original music. There's a birthday jam. My birthday is August 18th, by the way. August 14th in what will we be? It's not Snellville. It's I'll get, if you follow me on social media, as soon as I get the flyer, I'll put that information up. But it's a Sunday, August 14th, a Sunday evening. I will be playing some live music. It's going to be a great hang. There's going to be some great musicians playing some good music. I want to say it's Snellville, but it might not be Snellville. But as soon as I get all that information, I will send that information to you. So if you're in the Atlanta area and you want to hear me live with a few friends, we're going to be playing some. We're going to be having fun. It's a birthday jam, so we're going to be having some fun. This event is hosted by Kevin Griffin, and he's he and I have the same birthday, and so a lot of August birthday people, musicians, are gonna get together and do a jam, and I'm gonna do a set, and I'm gonna play some of my music. So if you want to come and hang out and hear, I invite you to come out and do that. And again, I will, as soon as I know, follow me on social media if you're not already following me. J Morgan Bass on Instagram at J Morgan Bass. I finally got my username back. Not J Morgan Bass 1, it's just J Morgan Bass. And then Facebook, just look up Jermaine Morgan, and you can follow me there as well. So you'll see my picture or logo or something like that. But I will be posting the information so that if you guys want to come out and hang, you can do that. It's like 2 weeks from now, roughly. Yeah, 2 weeks from now. So come out. You said, I have to get there. I would love to see you live. Absolutely. It's going to be fun. We're going to have some fun. We're going to have some fun. So I encourage you to do that. So here's the coaching. I think I copied the whole link. Just in case I didn't, I'm going to copy it again. All right. I'm going to copy this link again. I'm going to put it in so you guys can grab if you want to do the one-on-one coaching with me. And let me put it on the screen where you can see how you can do that. So there's the coaching with me. If you want to set up a one-time coaching call, you can do that. Once you go on the site and look at the different the different coaching options, you can see that, and we can do a one-time call where we can kind of talk through some ideas or some things that you could possibly do. If you think I can help you in that area, I would be more than happy to do that if you want to set up a one-time coaching call with me. And yeah, I just want to make that available to you guys. Like I said, I'm slightly moving away from the ongoing coaching. I got people that's been grandfathered in and they're still doing their coaching calls with me. But like I said, my time is not as I don't have as much time as I used to have to do that. So there's, get it while you can, because one day you might go on the website and that one-on-one link might be gone. So depending on when you're watching this video, it could be there, it could not be there. And right now, while the price is what it is, I'll encourage you to take advantage of it, because I can't guarantee that this price is going to stay the same. I've been talking to you guys about value. I know what my time is worth, and it's not me being grand. It's just I understand different. I understand. That's the best I can say, and I hope and pray that you all get to the same place, that you understand different and you stop just giving away your life to people. Now, there are some people that you can give it away for free, and there's tons of people that I talk to, like the conversation I had on Sunday, sharing nuggets. There was no money involved in that, but that's not every case. So anywho, Greg says, "Hey Jay, I had stepped away for a while. Are my online lessons still good?" As far as I know, Greg, I'm not sure exactly what you mean with that. If you're talking about being signed up for the monthly membership or any of that stuff, absolutely, all of that stuff we're still good. We're still good there. You ain't got no worries. I'm just talking about the one-on-one stuff. That's the only thing I'm mentioning there. But yeah, my lessons, as far as those concerned, they're gonna be there. Yeah, the lessons are gonna be there. I don't went way over my time that I was supposed to be here, but it was good though. And I'm afraid this camera might cut off pretty soon, so I'm gonna let you guys go. I appreciate y'all. It's still a nice little crowd hanging out all the way to the end. I really appreciate that. Thank y'all so much. Listen, have a great day. Go do something. Go make a plan. All right? I'm out. Much love. Peace.